Daoism, criticism. This week I was called out by one of my students for mocking Buddhism. I really don't think that was my intention, but clearly that's how it came out, in my student's opinion. This has been a very interesting year for me. I've spent much time contemplating the nature of the universe. I'm not sure there's any other game in town. Having considered many religions, paths and forms, and having read books and articles from every leading mind on every aspect of religion and spirituality, I find myself in my current position. I'll state as clearly as I can the following. I believe that I am consciousness. That would probably translate as God to many people. I believe that you are God too. And in so saying, I see no separation between you and I. I look into your eyes, I see me. Your soul is my soul. We are all nature. There is no separation. I hurt you, I hurt myself. I hurt nature, I hurt myself. Tat Svam Asi, from Sanskrit meaning I am that. Heaven and earth, all as one. Consciousness is one. To experience itself, it needed a vehicle through which to explore and grow. We are that. We consider the image of a mirror folded back to reflect itself. Not a true 3D, but an approximation. And so this life we lead isn't exactly real, but certainly seems that way. Can you prove that reality, as we know it, is real? It's a famous thought experiment. Can you prove that you're not just a brain in a jar being streamed data? It seems, smells, and feels right. But what if it's all just a scam and you're just a brain in a jar? We believe in science and religion. The truth is that our castles are all built on sand. If you can't prove the most basic ground, then something like science is just hard-packed facts that have come into a set of ideas, all built on sand. Religion is believed because generation after generation have believed in the ones before them. But hard fact is impossible to come by. Why bother doing anything then, if it's all just some sort of game? Well, we humans, we like to keep ourselves busy. There are fascinating clues hidden to this new possibility. And, well, the bulk of us humans are really lovely and helpful people. As a side note, I was thinking about peace when I visited China and America. I was astonished to realise that a country's politics have little or nothing to do with its peoples. Such amazing people everywhere. Just horrible politicians. I remember hearing that in Northern Ireland only about 7% of the people actually supported the violence there. Using that sort of idea might suggest that spread throughout our world of 7 billion people, there might only be 100 million people who even vaguely support some sort of violent regime. That's an astonishing idea. There are significantly more peaceful people on Earth by more than a factor of 10 or 11 to 1 who would rather have peace. We're actually living in a time of supreme peace. It's just that our media never lets us forget the violence. Fear sells news. How does the game of life work then? I suggest that time flows when we are alive, and that time stops when we die. The essence of us continues forever. It's a universe of free will. If I decide that I'm going to reincarnate, why not? If I decide there are aliens, yes, so it shall be. I feel that the more consciousnesses that focus on an idea, the more likely it's to become true. Near-death experiences? Yes. Levitation? Why not? Life after death, rebirth, the circle of life, yes to it all. If the game of life includes the game of death too, this all starts to make a little bit more sense. Yin becomes yang, which then becomes yin. Day turns to night, to be followed by the next day. We instinctively understand the circular nature of our existence. Many people can't be bothered to examine the game they live in. They die. They move on to whatever they believed in or whatever the default setting is. Some people wake up but remain inside the dream. This is understanding how the game state is, but never really escaping it. Again, why bother? If you live your life as an adult in this game, rather than the bulk of people who experience the game like angry children, then you'll probably navigate the game much more happily. Spirituality is the current tool that offers some chance to mature to adulthood. It has to be said that an awful lot of spirituality is concocted to keep you asleep, to keep you in your childhood, especially if there's a way from someone to make a lot of money out of it. I remember a friend who followed an inspirational life coach all over the world, fire walking in Hawaii, swimming through water tunnels in the Cayman Islands. She spent nearly $100,000 on her journey. I asked her if she'd learned anything. She replied, yes, a little, but not $100,000 worth by any means. I have, however, discovered how to make oneself a multimillionaire. So many paths tell you that you have to climb this tree structure to the top where you'll eventually find enlightenment. Others tell you you have to cut away every aspect of you to get to enlightenment. Well, I've read lots about this subject. I've come to the sincere opinion that it finds you, and you can't make it happen. As one of my students said, it's in the gift of God. Interesting idea, seeing as how I feel that I am God. As I write, I see the layers of this story. I never meant to be nasty to Buddhists, but I find it fascinating to see various Southeast Asian countries go up in flames and watch Buddhists killing each other. I look at Buddhism and wonder why 500 million people follow this path, yet there are only a handful of enlightened teachers. The same is true of any religious path. My instinct is that through thousands of years, the truth has become lost in the ceremony and the writings. Am I being critical about Buddhism, Daoism, Christianity and the likes? I think the answer is yes. If this is the case, I have to offer an alternative. I think simplicity is the alternative. I think standing in silent meditation is great. I think doing Qigong for an hour is great. I think taking simple exercise every day is great. I think we need to withdraw ourselves from the stress of our lives, because eventually it doesn't really amount to a hill of beans. If you could practice Qigong for an hour every morning, if you could find yourself an hour's quiet, calm exercise every day, walking, swimming or cycling, and spend an hour before bed in standing meditation, I suggest that your life would become beautiful, you'd become seriously healthy and balanced. I would suggest that if anybody had put themselves in the path of enlightenment, then that would be you. Never seeking it, but keeping the ground fertile and your arms wide open. Again, why bother? I think this prescription will lead you to total happiness and adulthood, where your understanding of the dream state we live in will clarify. In my meditations, I often speak of an idea given to me by my dear departed friend, the Barefoot Doctor. He suggested that I sit, or even stand quietly, and imagine myself like a reclining Buddha sitting at the back of a cave. The cave is my head. My little Buddha sits at the back and gazes out of the windows and door of the eyes and mouth. You view the world outside and feel detached, sitting at the back of your lovely cave. I suggest taking this guided meditation a little bit further. You then gently move backwards out of your body until you can view the physical self in front of you. This is a great place to send healing into the body in front of you. You are now consciousness viewing the physical world. Try to draw yourself back from your conscious self and see what universality feels like. Now we're getting there. Well, it sounds very much like out with the old and in with the new. It's my true belief that if we are to save humanity, we need a new perspective from which to achieve this. Politics will never get rid of the atomic threat. War has never solved our problems. We require that 90% of the people to be accessing their consciousness selves regularly. In so doing, the course of humanity will change, and we will evolve to become Homo spiritualis. When we sit in total consciousness, we do, however, find that nothing is ever wrong. Everything that we go through as humans is just another lesson for consciousness. In short, it doesn't really matter whether we evolve or the whole planet explodes. Consciousness will just find a new way to experience itself as it has done before. If folklore is to be believed, then humanity has had several cracks at this and has repeatedly exploded in a puff of smoke. Try researching the legends of Lemuria or Atlantis, seemingly iterations of humans who have climbed to the technological peaks before wiping themselves off the face of the earth, just as we are poised to do. Ho hum. Do I mock Buddhists then? No. I just don't think that a life dedicated to meditation is a way of awakening to adulthood. Exactly the same as a life dedicated to Qigong. A life dedicated to triathlons is just as daft. We require balance in our lives. The point I was making to my class is that to abdicate responsibility and take up a life of daily meditation is to give up living. I think we must live a conscious life and participate in the health and happiness of ourselves and our beautiful planet. For me, contemplation is a far more powerful tool than meditation. Everything has its place. Qigong trains the body. Meditation trains the mind. And contemplation is the tool to see your way to adulthood and beyond. But only do this if you fancy it. There's nobody pushing you. The clues left to us by ancient civilizations, well, the symbol is a great one. It has 3 curves that represent sleeping, dreaming, and awakening into adulthood. And then it has a line drawn between the dot between man and God. The symbol is a challenge thrown down to you by the ancients. Break out of your sleep. Discover that you are truth, and so find the path to your own understanding of everything. It's a very simple task, made difficult by thousands of years of people trying and writing and making up weird paths and challenges. The truth is that you are already there. You are already God. As one writer put it, there's only one sin in the whole universe, and that's not knowing that you are God. You don't need gurus, teachers, and religions. Just contemplate and do it yourself. When the ground is eventually prepared, who knows what'll grow? My blessings to you all.